And looking back on it, it always makes me sad. I just wanted to have that like normal social interaction, and like I just wanted to be normal. A fun fact that you probably don't know about me is that I was homeschooled my entire life. I never set foot in a public school, minus going to community college for like 2 semesters. I never did clubs, classes, homework, didn't have that many friends, and people find it fascinating. So I'm here today going to the gym all by myself, which I never do. And while I go throughout my day, I'm just gonna talk about what it was like being homeschooled my entire life. First of all, let me just set the record straight, because I'm sure you're all wondering. Dani, were you one of these weird homeschoolers who their mom wanted to shelter them from the outside world, and so they never did anything or understood anything about real life? And the answer to that question is kind of. Not entirely, but my mom did homeschool us because she doesn't really like, number one, she doesn't like the curriculum of like what's in public schools. I was very Catholic, so she didn't want me exposed to like, you know, other kids and their weird stuff, you know what I mean? However, I was indeed exposed to the outside world. I wasn't completely sheltered. I was just a little sheltered, I would say. Actually, no. I was pretty sheltered, but not like intentionally. Well, it's hard to explain because like I didn't think I was sheltered because like I had full access to the internet. But like now that I'm grown and like I look back on my life and I see what my friends like dealt with or saw or whatever, then I'm like, yeah, I was a bit sheltered. Guys, I just went to Starbucks before my workout because I don't have, there's no food at Emma's mom's house. So I just ate this protein box, absolutely destroyed it. Something about cheese and crackers just gets me in the morning. So now that I've given you a general idea of why I was homeschooled and all that, let's just get into the nitty gritty. We obviously didn't go to school, meaning we never left our house unless it was to do activities. So that's why I say I was partially sheltered, because my mom did put us in like swim team, like community swim team and like musical theater and stuff, so like I did get outside. But for the beginning of the day, like when most kids are in school, I was at home. And my mom structured it in a way where you kind of had to teach yourself a lot, and I didn't exactly thrive with that because I am very not focused or organized in the slightest. And so as a young child, having to remember to do your math and your schoolwork in general is not easy, and you feel very bad about yourself. And honestly, I think it contributed to my low self-esteem because I like felt like a failure all the time because like I was always behind and I had to like keep up with it, but I was really young, so it was like really hard to do. So anyway, basically you would wake up in the morning anytime you want. This wasn't a structured homeschool thing. There was no teacher that came to my house. It was just, you start school, whenever you're done, then you're done. If you have to do it all day, you do it all day. If you can only do it for 2 hours and then you finish all your work, then you're good. Like that was a really cool thing about it, is like if you do all your work, you can stop early in the day. I'm also gonna answer some questions while I do this, like throughout the video. So I posted on my Instagram and asked like what you guys want to know about being homeschooled. And so somebody asked, did you have any real friends if you weren't at school? And to answer that, I did have friends from like the activities that I did, but I never like hung out with people very much. Like most people see their friends all day at school and then they go home and do homework and that's kind of it, and they hang out on the weekends. I didn't have a lot of like play dates or like hangout times. I don't really know why. My mom had a lot of kids. I have 10 siblings, I don't know if I mentioned that. And so I think she didn't want to like drive us around and everything, and it was stressful. So like I would see my friends at my activities and stuff, and like I had a few times where like friends came over, I went to their house, but it wasn't very much. So I did have friends, but it was really hard to keep up with friendships, like really hard. That's like a big thing that I feel like people don't acknowledge when they like homeschool their kids and stuff, how difficult it is to keep up a friendship when you don't see them at school every day. Because like all kids talk about is school. Outside of school, they all talk about their teachers, their classes, their homework. Like they all go to the same school, so they bond over that. And like when you're the only homeschooled one, it's really awkward. So like even when I was in theater or swim team or whatever, I would still feel like very left out. That's something I need to talk about a lot later. I just felt very, very left out all the time because like I wasn't in school. So like it was very much like, okay, we're friends, but like I'm not ever gonna be as close as you guys are because like they see each other every single day and I only get to see them a couple times a week for like an hour, you know? So yeah, it's 1:30 p.m. I have less than an hour to go work out and take a shower and everything. The gym that I go to is really fancy. It's a gym that Emin's family goes to, so like they have a membership that I'm on, and it is bougie. So I'll show you guys the gym. Okay, Okay guys, I just went to the gym. I'm literally sitting in a parking lot because I drove Emin to the doctor because we only have one car and I'm like waiting for him to get out, but I didn't want to sit in my driver's seat again for this whole video. So I'm in the trunk. Switching it up. But anyway, back to being homeschooled. We talked about the reason why I was homeschooled. We talked about having friends. A lot of people asked me about like the curriculum and like what I learned. So like some people said like, what subjects did you learn? Was your curriculum very whitewashed? And like, do you feel like you missed out on learning certain things? Or like basically, am I dumber than other people? So actually for the most part, homeschoolers are pretty smart. Like if they're homeschooled well, there's like statistics on that. Like most of them go to college and graduate and perform really well in like academics or whatever, but I had kind of a mixed thing because like sometimes I would do my work and sometimes I wouldn't. My mom, who was putting together all my homeschooling stuff, she was like very, very smart. Like she skipped like 3 grades. She went to public school and like she put together a curriculum pretty well. So like I had a lot of literature that I read. I learned about, you know, history and different religions. I learned like little bits of different languages. Like I definitely had a very well-rounded curriculum for the most part, I think. But I also didn't do it very much. Like I didn't ever finish a grade really. And so I don't know, it's kind of hard to say like how the like academics side of it went because I wasn't very good at it. So somebody asked, I'm homeschooled and people look at me funny when I say that I'm homeschooled. Did that happen to you? Yes. People thought it was very weird that I was homeschooled when I told them I never went to a school or that I was homeschooled my whole life. They're like, oh, are you sure like you were homeschooled like since birth? Like you never ever went to a school? And I was like, yep, I just went to community college. A lot of people thought I was weird for that. However, an interesting thing that I actually talked to my husband about was that a lot of people, especially when I was a kid, would tell me, like my friends, they'd be like, oh, I'm so jealous you're homeschooled. Like you can do whatever you want. You don't have to go to school. Like that's awesome. But I was always really jealous. And like, this is where we kind of get to like the sad part of me being homeschooled. Not all my siblings are like this. I can't speak for them, just me personally. I always just really wanted to go to school. Like I even asked my mom, like, can I please go to high school? Like when I was like 15 and I wasn't able to because I was in a band and I was like busy and I had this like adult responsibility that I was doing. And looking back on it, it always makes me sad. And like, I just wanted to have that like normal social interaction. And like, I wanted to have teachers who were on my ass and holding me accountable. And like, I wanted to do real tests and like, I wanted to have real grades. And like, I don't know, not all homeschoolers are like this. And again, not all my siblings had the same experience. And like, I'm not saying my mom did a bad job. Like, I don't want you guys to think that she's like lame or something. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not even talking about her competence. I'm just talking about my own like stuff that I wanted socially. Like I just wanted to be normal. I went through like a very rebellious phase when I was a teenager, and I really do think that that was partially because I was homeschooled. Like I think I would have been a little bit less crazy if I went to public school, which is funny because I always thought it was the opposite. Like I always thought like if I went to public school, and by the way, I say public school to refer to any school. That can mean private school. I just mean school that's not homeschooling. It's not that I never would have broken the rules. I just think it would have been different if I was in school. You know what I mean? Okay, this is a really interesting question that I got. Somebody asked me if I feel like there was an educational gap between me and other kids, and I have to say, not at all. Actually, the opposite. Like the only thing that I feel like I missed out on with like real school would have been like structure, and I would have learned more. But like I learned how to read when I was 4 or 3 or something. I skipped 7th grade because like I was doing really well, so I just went right to 8th grade. And like even though I didn't fully finish grades, like I still ended up like ahead of my peers in a lot of ways. I took the ACT, which is like a standardized test here, kind of like the SAT, and I got a 27, which like the highest you can get is a 36 and the lowest you can get is like an 18, and like the average in Tennessee is like a 22. So that's like a moderately high/good score. It's not like genius, like I'm amazing in school. That's like over a 30, but I got a 27, which is like pretty good. Like that's better than what most kids get in Tennessee. Okay, I'm gonna answer some more questions in a bit and keep talking about this because this is actually really fun. I've like never talked about this on the internet, but I've been in this position for too long. So I'm just gonna wait here for Emin. It's a really nice day outside. We're going to the movies. We're going to see the movie Encanto. I don't even know what it's about really. I just saw the trailer for it when I saw a different movie, and Emin's mom really wanted to go. And Emin and I are going to lunch, late lunch, early dinner. It's a good day, guys. It's a great day, actually. Some might even say an amazing day. Why'd you go to the doctor? I thought you should tell them.
There's nothing wrong with my hand. I thought it was broken, but it's not.
You thought your hand was broken?
I broke it last year.
Skating. Edgy boy. He got an x-ray and they told him nothing is wrong, but he wanted to go to the doctor anyway because his hand hurts. But now we're going to eat, and then we're going to the movies.
Movies?
The movies.
Let's go.
Guys, I just got home. It's been a couple hours. It's dark outside now. I went to the movies, which by the way, turns out going to the movies Super fun. I'm gonna answer some more questions. Now that I've covered like, you know, what we learned and like why we were homeschooled and the social aspect and all that kind of stuff. Somebody asked something you were glad you were homeschooled for. I would probably have to say, like being bullied because I know that like kids can be very mean. I know that my friends who went to like regular school had some really bad experiences with people being mean. Sorry, I'm like trying to find the right color. I don't know which one's better. Anyway, I'm happy that I never had to deal with like getting bullied or anything. Like Emmett had to deal with that a lot. He like switched schools a couple times because people were really mean to him. So definitely happy that I missed out on that. And then also school, I know is just like really long and like being in school for 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day, having homework on top of that, like that's crazy. So I am happy that I had all that time to like live my life as much as I could have at that age. It's nice to not have to be stuck inside all day and like being in a classroom and all that stuff. Somebody said, do you think there are actual good reasons to homeschool kids? I don't really love like traditional public schools. So like if you don't have the option to put your kids in anything but traditional public schools and like they're not doing well, their grades are really bad, they're getting bullied, like of course that's a valid reason to homeschool your kids. I just think it's silly when people homeschool their kids with the intention of sheltering them. Like that really weirds me out. And that kind of brings me to the most broad question that people asked me a lot, which is, am I gonna homeschool my kids? And like based on my experience, would I do that? And honestly, I'm never gonna know until I have kids, you know? But I used to vehemently, is that the right word? Think that I was gonna homeschool my kids. Like I was never gonna send my kids to public school. And I used to be very like almost snobby about it. Like I was homeschooled and I'm so cool, which is so funny. Now that I've grown up and like seen that, you know, everybody goes to public school, like not like public school, private school, they go to school. Most people, I don't really know anybody who's homeschooled. I know one person who's homeschooled and she was homeschooled for part of her life, not even her whole life. Everybody went to school. Like they've turned out fine, you know? Like I used to think that school was like this big bad thing that like you can't put your kids in or they're gonna turn out horrible or something, or they're gonna be zombies who are just oppressed by the world and have no thoughts. And like, I don't know, that's just kind of what I thought about the world, but I realize that's wrong. So I am going to at least initially put my kids in school, and like if it doesn't work out, oh, that's way better. If it doesn't work out and they're not doing well in school, I'll try to find them an alternative school or I'll homeschool them or whatever, like whatever's best for them. But like if my kid is homeschooled and really wants to go to school, I'll obviously let them go to school. I just want them to have stability and I want them to feel normal and I want them to have a regular, you know, high school experience, middle school experience. Like all of those times in life, I feel like they're so treasured and like you make so many friends, whether you keep them for the rest of your life or not. Like some people absolutely hated school, but like most people that I know, they hated it, but at the same time, they low-key liked it and like had a generally good experience. So I think people take it for granted sometimes, honestly. Like, I don't know. You always want what you can't have. I hope that made sense. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.